Hey everybody, we're finally back on the CJ3B welder Jeep. We're going to get the hat channel finished up today, and I'm going to give you guys a few different ways to spot weld the panels together. I've been getting a lot of messages, guys, saying that they don't have a spot welder, and that's completely understandable. So we're going to do a TIG weld and we're going to do a MIG weld, and I'm going to show you what they look like. As you can see, all the hat channels are already pre-punched, and we're going to fill those up with some weld, and you could decide for yourselves which ones you like the best. Okay, so we're going to head over to the pull max, and we're going to put that bead down the center that I was telling you about last time. And there's the dies I made. I think you could see those okay. Just a simple die. It's just going to put a crease down inside the hat channel, and that's the CJ5 style like we were talking about. So it adds quite a bit more rigidity to it. And like I say, this floor and the hat channel is made out of 14 gauge. Much heavier than original. And it's going to be a strong floor with that welder sitting on it. We need it. So let me get this set up and we'll run those hat channels through, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, we're going to put a second pass in here, a little bit deeper, and that'll be our final pass, and we'll take them over to the bench and take a look at them. Okay, here we are over at the bench, and you can see the bead put in there. That's going to add a lot of rigidity to the center of the hat channel where it's the weakest. That's where most of the weight will be in the bed. The sides can handle it good, but the center sometimes sags, so they figured out that they should put a extra stiffener in there. And here it is, a shot of it on the inside. That's what it looks like on the inside. So, being 14 gauge and having that bead in there should give us some perfect hat channels as far as strength goes. Okay, I'm going to get a sample of 14 gauge out here, and then I'm going to show you two different ways of fastening those to your floor. So we'll get the welder set up, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, here is two pieces of 14 gauge. And I've got 5/16 holes punched in the top plate. We're going to spot weld that to the bottom plate. The first welder we're going to use is an old HTP MIG. It's a HTP MIG 140. And I have the spot weld nozzle on there. And a couple things before you get started. You want to make sure that both plates are in perfect contact. You don't want any spaces in there or anything like that. And after every weld, you want to cut that little ball off the end there and start out fresh. So you're going to cut it flush with the two legs on there, just like that. You're going to place that over the hole, and and you pull the trigger. Now we're set. There's a timer on this, but we're not going to use the timer this time around. We're just going to do it manually. We're going to control it by the trigger and the on-off and everything like that. Now this isn't the greatest camera for doing this. I've got some arc shots coming. We've been working on getting some real nice arc shots. I do need to get a new camera for that, but we've got it all figured out, and good welding arc shots are coming. But this might be a little bright. I don't know what's going to happen here. But we're going to hold that directly over the center of the hole, pull the trigger, and that's going to make our spot weld. Here goes the first one. Okay, now when you figure out what you like, you can set the timer on the machine, pull the trigger, and it'll cycle, and it'll shut off by itself. So we made that spot weld. We're going to advance the wire, and we're going to cut off that little ball. Make sure you do that every time. You don't want that in the weld. So if I can get you in here. It makes a pretty acceptable spot weld. Okay, I keep having trouble with that camera, but here it is here. When you make that spot weld, let's see if that'll focus in for us. You don't want to hold the trigger on too long and build up a lot of material. I hope you can see that. That's just above flush there. So that's what you want. You don't want that. You don't want a lot of buildup, because then you're gonna have to grind everything off. But that, you know, when you sand it with your DA sander before you paint, and then you put some primer and then paint on that, that'll be a nice spot weld for you. It won't look too out of place. So there's a whole lot of holes in the hat channel, so it's an awful lot of welding. But if you don't have a big spot welder, this is the way to go. But the prep is key. You want your panels clean, and you want your panels touching perfectly. We'll do whatever you have to do to get them clamped tight together, because you don't want a space in there. That'll just start ruining everything. Okay, so that's what one spot weld done with the MIG welder. Now I'm going to get the TIG out and show you how I like to do them with the TIG welder. Now we're going to get the torch out. We're going to add just a little bit of filler material, and I'll show you what that looks like next. Okay, we're going to do the TIG welds with our Miller Dynasty 200DX. I'm set to about 150, and I'm going to use a foot pedal on this. There's our torch. We've got a nice sharp tungsten, and I'm going to add just a little bit of 045 wire to the puddle. So let me get this set up, and we'll go and do one of those. Okay, there it is with the TIG machine. And with the TIG machine, you can add just enough material to keep it below flush right there, and that looks like a better spot weld. Now these are 5/16 holes, and that's perfect for a MIG. If you're doing it with the TIG, 1/4 inch hole works a little bit better. You don't have to fill so much. But I just was punching 5/16, so I went like that. You could do a 5/16, but 1/4 is a little better. So that's how it works with the TIG welder. So whichever you guys prefer, you know, if you don't have a spot welder, you can MIG or TIG them in there and it comes just the same. So once you get everything sanded out, painted, and on the road, it'll look fine. Okay, hope that gives you some ideas of how to do some welding, some spot welding when you don't have a spot welder. Okay guys, hope that gives you some idea of what's happening here. When you're going to get set up to do your spot welding, make yourself a plate like that. Put a bunch of holes in there and fill them all up. Get your machine settings just right. You want it hot when you start out. I had the HTP turned all the way up, and you really want to bite into that bottom plate when you're putting your weld in there. But play around with the settings and give yourself a nice practice plate with plenty of holes in it, and that should work out for you. Same with the TIG machine. You want to get that just right. Like I say, I was using a foot pedal so I can control the heat, so it wasn't too bad. But we're going to get these hat channels and the floor sandblasted before we do anything. Remember, that's hot rolled plate. That's all they had for me, and I do not like to put hot rolled on hot rolled when I'm welding. So I'm going to sandblast the underside of the floor, and I'm going to sandblast the inside and outside of the hat channel, and I'm going to put some epoxy primer on that. That's what I like to use right after sandblasting, a light coat of epoxy primer, and we'll put some of that weldable primer inside the hat channels, and then we'll get to welding those. So that's what's coming up next, and if there's anything that you'd like to see, just give me a shout, and feel free to subscribe or hit the like button or leave me a comment and let me know how you think things are going. Anything in particular you want covered, I'll do it. And we're gonna make the rear floor riser next, and by that time we should have the floor sandblasted, and we'll get back on putting the hat channel in. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.